Hello, dear friends, Cameroonians, Africans who are listening to my presentation, my videos. Thank you for having or for having me, or to watch my video. I'm doing this short video just to kind of discuss with you, answer the questions that people asked me when I was on Equiness Radio this week in the morning. Especially when I said that the Cameroonian government did not do enough to anticipate the inflation in our country. We did not do enough to anticipate inflation in our country. And then some people raised the issues that what does it mean, and could we have done to kind of tackle the inflation in our country? First of all, we had to face in the world the ongoing COVID-19 crisis, and that COVID-19 crisis affected all the parts of the world, especially industrialized countries like China, India, United States, Canada, Germany, Japan, Brazil, and whatever. So the factories in those countries were closed due to the pandemic. And the fact that they have closed the factory has raised the cost of the goods and service manufactured in those factories. A country like Cameroon depends at 70 to 80%, for example, in food and beverage, for example, in cloth, for example, in building materials, depend from the importations or the goods that they buy abroad to bring inside the country. So in that case, the price have been raised by the distributor in our country. The second thing was the war in Ukraine. The war in Ukraine, because Russia was put under sanction. And the sanction made that Russia could not export its grain. They also could not export urea. You know, urea plays a key role when it comes to manufacture fertilizers to produce food or crops, if you want. So Russia was sanctioned, so there was not enough urea, and there was not enough grain for African country. Also, Ukraine has blockades on its port, so it was impossible for Ukraine to sell abroad all the crops that it has in storage in the country. So the consequence of that is that the price of the food, the crops, have been raised, and we couldn't afford to buy them. I think from something for wheat, for example, we went from $600 a ton, I think, to $1,400 a ton, or $1,600. The last time that I watched was $1,600, something like that, which is very expensive for our poor countries. So that's important. Also, the monetary policy in the U.S. So the monetary policy in the U.S. affect the price, or have created the raise of price in our country. How is it possible? During the COVID, when we got out of the COVID, President Biden signed what he called the rescue plan. And before him, President Trump sent a check to family for them and put some benefit to be able to face, the food in the kitchen table, the payment of their mortgage, and many, many, many other programs, social programs. So that social program put a lot of money in for consumption. For household was able to, to buy what they want for consumption. So the demand of goods and services went up. And then there was a shortage in the grow or the production, which result into an increase of prices. So that increase of prices push the central bank or the Federal Reserve by the Federal Monetary Committee, the President General Jerome Powell, to raise several times the interest rate. So when he raised the interest rate, the consequence is that the loan become very expensive. But the loan become very expensive, but the bond or the fixed income, especially what we call the bond, the federal bonds, the municipal bonds, and the corporate bonds become more attractive. So many pension funds, asset management company in Europe sold their asset, especially the fixed income of European country or companies or municipalities, and they invest that money in fixed income in the United States. So the consequence was a high demand of the dollars to be able to reinvest in the United States. And it was a depreciation of the exchange rate. Also, the exchange rate of the euro and the British pound went down. So the consequences is that then we need more local currency, the CFA, to be able to buy the US dollar. Why? Because between the US dollar and between the US dollar and the CFA, there is a cross exchange. It means that the CFA is a domestic currency. You cannot trade it on the forex in London, for example. So what you have to do is to exchange your CFA with and get the euro, because the CFA is pegged to the euro, so it's a fixed rate, flat rate. So you can exchange and get the euro. When you get the euro, then with the euro you can buy the US dollar. So what's happened is that with the exchange rate of the euro compared to dollar went down, you need more euro to be able to buy the dollar. It means that because the euro is pegged to the CFA with a fixed rate, you need then more CFA to be able to buy, to be able to exchange your money into euro. I always take these examples. If you need to import a container of tomato, for example, from Mexico, and your Mexican supplier require $20,000 for each container, at the beginning of the year, you have to pay 10,000 million in local currency CFA. But with the appreciation of the dollar, then you have to pay $14 million. So it's increase the cost, right, of having the capital, and when the transaction has increased by 40%. 40%. Then you have to pay customs on those 40% of those 14 million local money. So the cost of paying the custom has gone up by 30%. So the price of the good has also been multiplied by 2 digits, which makes that people feel in the market that the bottle of oil where 1,000 is not now of oil to kitchen was 1,000 is now to 1,000 is now 1,800. So that's very hard for our poor consumer. So to solve that issue, we had to come with a plan, a plan to kind of tackle that phenomenon of the inflation. So when I'm speaking like that, you can always see that there was not anticipation, because we could have anticipated in terms of supply chain, maybe by renting boats, or we could have anticipated in terms of supply chain by buying grain before the war started in Ukraine, because 2 years before we knew that there would be a war in Ukraine. We could have anticipated before President Biden launched the rescue plan in the United States of the CHIP Act, for example, who bring more investment in the US, so people need to buy more dollar currency. We would have anticipated by buying foreign currency with our gold, for example. There's many things that we could have done. So nothing was done. People just sit down in Yaoundé, drinking their beer, expecting that, okay, they're saying that, like Madeleine Chuente, that, okay, there's no problem, all the problem will be solved. God will solve the problem and the problem will go. So what's happened is that all the consequences come in our country in the same time. In the same time, it means that we don't have enough foreign currency. We have to import goods which are very expensive. Oil, we have to import crops, we have to import fertilizers, etc., etc. So our population is feeling the inflation very hard. You can see many videos on social media, even on TV, where people are crying because they are unable today to feed their families. So that's why I said that there was a mistake was committed, because people did not anticipate how they should have done. They did not anticipate, the oncoming, threat to the inflation in our country. I hope this time for the next coming year, the National Security Advisor of the person who will be president will be able to solve those kind of issues. In Cameroon, now I know that National Security Advisor are designed to arrest opponents to the president and jail them, which is not their role. National Security Advisor look at the geopolitical map of the world. Watch all the movement. For example, when the governor of the central bank of the United States says something, it's very important, because we are in a globalization of the economy and everything is linked. So we have to pay attention of what he says. We have to look at what he have to say, what the decision that he's making, and how those decisions affect our country. That hasn't been done, and today we are just paying the price of procrastination of such civil servant, which is not funny at all. So that's why I made this presentation. I was expected to speak with you. I hope people who have English as first native language will be connecting enough on our pages, and we'll be able to to address the concern that they have using their language. I will be doing more presentation or short video like this in English, to be able to have you, listen and know how to do the translations between French and English, to be able to listen to what we are talking about, because that African continent today is more people speaking English than people speaking French, and Cameroon today is more people speaking English than people speaking French, because many Cameroonians today send their kids in the Anglophone school and not in the Francophone school. So that's a main point that's very important. Thank you so much for watching our video. Sign up for the subscription in my channel, Elise Yonta, my YouTube channel, and follow us and give all your feedback. Thank you so much. Bye.